Now I think we are ready. So y'all hold on, I'm getting everything straight. There we go. Finally. Sorry y'all had some technical issues here that I had to sort out, and so that's what we did. And so looks like I got everything all straightened out. Let's see here. Facebook is up. YouTube is up. Boom. Everybody is going. So, all right, we're going to let this thing build up, and then we're going to be ready to rock and roll, okay? All right, so just letting y'all know. We'll be ready to rock and roll. Let me go live on Instagram as well. So here we go. Okay, so let me get started. So first of all, I hope y'all are having a great Christmas Eve. I'm here at the house, chilling. Y'all hear the noise back over there. My parents are cooking. So it's Christmas Eve. You know, NFL's on, but no Colin Kaepernick, so no Roland Martin. So no thank you. I'll pass. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Right, rocking the A&M hat. I don't need it. All right, so New York Times has a story out today. And the story says, black turnout in Alabama complicates debate on voter laws. So in their story, this is what they says. Even before a defiant Roy Moore stood at the lectern this month and refused to concede the Alabama Senate race, one political reality was clear. An extraordinary turnout among black voters had helped push Doug Jones to a rare Democratic victory in this state. That turnout, in which registered black voters appeared to cast ballots at a higher rate than white ones, has become the most recent reference point in the complicated picture about race and election laws. At issue, at a time when minorities are becoming an increasingly powerful slice of the electorate, is how much rules like Alabama's voter ID law serve as a brake on that happening. The turnout by black voters in Alabama raises a question. Did it come about because voting restrictions were not as powerful as critics claim, or because voters showed up in spite of them? Okay. Let me explain to you why this is a dangerous line of thinking and why you should not fall for the okie doke that this New York Times is laying out. So this thought process is the basis of John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, when he wrote the majority opinion in the Shelby v. Holder case. Okay? So this is what he wrote. He wrote that the court held that Section 4, the Voting Rights Act, imposes current burdens that are no longer responsive to the current conditions in the voting districts in question. So basically what they were saying is that because black folks turned out in record numbers, because a black man was elected president, we don't need these voter laws. We don't need pre-clearance. But the reality is the voting numbers were in spite of it. So here's the thing. This is the okie doke. Oh, well, since black folks are turning out, we really don't need to worry about these laws. So what they're trying to say is that voter ID really didn't make a difference. Even though the NAACP, Legal Defense and Education Fund, they've offered that 102,000 African Americans were denied the right to vote as a result of the voter ID laws. They also contend that when you look at those numbers as well, you look at how formerly incarcerated folks were denied the right to vote because they claimed they didn't have the right to vote, even though Alabama recently passed that law. You must be mindful of what's going on here, okay? So the Republicans are trying to assert that, well, these voter ID laws are no big deal because black folks voted anyway. That's essentially saying that because you ran through a hail of bullets, you walked over hot coals, and then you averted flamethrowers, it's all good because you still arrive at your destination. Well, if you don't have the damn flamethrower, and you don't have the hail of bullets, and you don't have walking over hot coals, then I can arrive at my destination safer than what I had to go through. That's what's going on here. This is the okie doke. Now you got to remember, it was that joke of a Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, who argued that Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional, including Section 4. This is what he wrote, okay? And this is why I'm sorry, this man does not, it's just shameful, his thinking. He wrote that the blatant discrimination against certain voters that Section 5 was intended to prohibit is no longer evident. And said it's a burden on the states in question to have to go through Section 5. Yeah, a black man wrote that on the Supreme Court, a black man from Georgia. So you need to understand what's going on here. Because of what happened in Alabama, the Republicans are going to try to deny black folks the right to vote again. Now, I know some Republicans are saying, oh, we don't do that. That's a lie. That is a lie. The voter ID laws in Alabama, by shutting down the driver's license offices in those counties where more blacks live, that was by design. You need to understand, you look what's happening in Virginia, trying to keep formerly incarcerated folks from getting the right to vote. That also was a deal there. When you have Republicans who are saying that the reasons Democrats won certain seats in Virginia was because formerly incarcerated were able to vote, that's what's going on here. And so you need to understand, folks, we can't wait until the last second. What I mean by that is, after y'all get done with Christmas, after you get done with New Year's, if you are an African American, your focus should be on getting folks registered and getting folks to vote in the primaries coming up, as well as in the fall. Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I don't care who you vote for. I'm just trying to explain to you what the game that is going on. What they are trying to do, literally, is to argue that because we turned out in massive numbers, that our complaints about voter restrictions are irrelevant because we still turned out. Do not fall for that banana in the tailpipe, folks. That's the game they're trying to play. They want to argue that, oh, well, because we still voted, that the restrictions are irrelevant. Again, we put hurdles in front of you, so because you jumped over the hurdles, then it's really no big deal. How about removing the damn hurdles? That, to me, makes more sense than what they are trying to do. You just need to understand what is going on here. And you keep hearing folks say stay woke. No, what you have here is not to stay woke. Don't be in a coma, and don't sit here and think everything is okay. It was Chief Justice John Roberts in throwing out Section 4 in Shelby v. Holder, okay, which took place in 2013. Go back and read that decision. What you have here is, again, he is sitting here arguing that because we have seen black folks vote, they are arguing because black women voted at a higher rate in 2008 and 2012 than any other group, that we don't need any protection whatsoever. Well, if that's the case, then why is it after Shelby v. Holder, you had more than a dozen states led by Republicans who put in restrictive voting practices right after the decision? Now think about that. Take your time. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. See, if Republicans want more people to vote, why would you be putting hurdles in place keeping folks from voting? I want you to think about that. That is what you have going on. That is why in Texas, they've lost 5 times. They've spent $3 million to try to pass their voter ID law, which now is supported by the Trump Department of Justice. I need y'all to understand what is going on here. And because of what happened in Alabama, black folks, you're going to have a target on your back. So what does that mean? What that means is, in Georgia, we need to have black folks on the ground doing exactly what those brothers and sisters did in Alabama. Not a few weeks before the primary, beginning January 2nd. In Tennessee, in Arkansas, in Louisiana, in Ohio, in Illinois, in Michigan, in Wisconsin. This is what I'm trying to get black people to understand. That is, if we were able to vote the way we did in Alabama and defeat white conservatives there, now even though their vote was depressed because Roy Moore is an alleged pedophile, if we vote our numbers, we win. Listen to me again. If we vote our numbers, we win. So what I'm trying to say is we can't have 25% turnout in St. Louis. We can't have 25% turnout in Birmingham and less than 25% in Alabama and the same thing in Georgia. No, what needs to happen is we need to have massive turnout in these places where we have major numbers. That's why I keep trying to tell you. And let me tell y'all something. I've talked to different people. State Representative Alicia Reese, she's getting no help from Democrats. She's getting no help from the ACLU. She's getting no help from all of these rich white progressives. And I've talked to one of them when it comes to the Ohio Bill of Rights. If you live in Ohio, their State Representative Alicia Reese has a ballot initiative to get on it's called the Ohio Bill of Rights. It will enshrine in the state constitution the right to vote. That means we're not going to have all of these court challenges. Do we keep offices open later in Republican areas and shorter in Democratic areas? You put it in the state constitution, equalize the whole playing field. That means now the AKAs, I will give them credit. The AKAs of Ohio have formally adopted this initiative, and they're charging their members to get people to sign the petitions to get this on the ballot. They have until July 2nd, I believe. July 2nd. I'll be talking to Alicia again about this. Folks, this is game changer, a ballot initiative. Now remember, Republicans did this, conservatives did this in the 80s and the 90s to get rid of affirmative action in Michigan, also in California as well, with that nutcase Ward Connolly. We need to be looking at ballot initiatives as well in 2018. Let me also remind y'all, in Florida, they are signing people up like crazy for the ballot initiative to give the formerly incarcerated the right to vote in Florida. If you're in Florida, we must make sure that is happening. Do you hear me? We must make sure that is happening in record numbers. And so I know for a lot of people, they're saying, yeah, but what should I do? I'm telling you right now, we have to be in a position where we are voting our numbers. I don't want you to be confused by this. Do you hear me? I'm not sitting here telling you which party to vote for. What I'm saying is, when we sit at home, we have no power. When you sit at home and complain, then you have no power whatsoever. I'm talking about the grassroots campaign that took place in Alabama, where black folks were raising money, where black folks were going out and going to our places and our churches and our beauty salons and our barbershops and our youth centers and basketball courts. They were hitting the ground when it came to voting. This New York Times story, I'm telling y'all, is a dangerous story because they're trying to lull us to sleep. They're trying to tell us, oh, y'all turned out in such big numbers, everything is okay. Everything is okay. Y'all, it's not. It's not. We should not have to be jumping through hurdles. Let me say it again. We should not have to be jumping through hurdles just to vote. America should be making it easier to vote than making it harder to vote. Last thing is here. I'm looking at the feed on my YouTube page and some other pages. Y'all, if you use racial epithets on my page, use the N-word, use coon, I'm gonna block you. Okay? I ain't got time for that. All right? I have no time for that. Do you hear what I'm saying? I have no time for it. So you use that kind of language on my page, I'm a black man. Okay? I'm a conscious black man. And so if you use the language of white supremacy on my page, I'm gonna block you. I'm just letting you know. Okay? So I'm giving you a warning to anybody on my Twitter page, YouTube page, Facebook page, as well as YouTube. You use the language of white supremacists, I am going to block you. It's as simple as that. Okay? That's just how we roll. Just telling you that right now. Okay, so let me go back to this whole thing, y'all. There's a target on the backs of black voters. Republican Party in North Carolina, after they had the massive turnout in 2008, they are still trying to put in place efforts to block black people from voting. But let me also be clear, and I need y'all to start using this language too. And let me help y'all. These voter suppression efforts also is targeting elderly white people, young white voters. Let me remind you, in Wisconsin, 2016, a city clerk says point blank. She was removing an early voting location off of a college campus because too many of those young students were voting Democrat. I need y'all to understand what's going on here. They are moving voting locations away from places with lots of parking to places far out and small parking lots because they want to frustrate you and keep you from voting. They want you to drive up and see long lines and then go away. Let me go back to Ohio. I was in Ohio last year in 2016. I was there, folks, when I saw Summit County, Cuyahoga County, where they had one early voting location for the entire county. This is all legal and is by design. When the Republicans lost, when the governor lost, the Republicans in North Carolina changed the laws. They got rid of the voting commission, and then they combined it with another. And then, y'all need to understand what's going on here. They are trying to use the legal methods to change this deal. This is also why you must vote when it comes to these state elections, because political gerrymandering is done by the state legislature. Listen to me carefully. Districts are drawn by the state legislature. So you have a place like Wisconsin where Democrats receive 54% of all votes in the state. Republicans got around 45%, yet Democrats control the legislature. Why? Political gerrymandering. The Supreme Court, they are going to hear the political gerrymandering case in 2018. Why do you think Mitch McConnell kept Obama from appointing someone to that Supreme Court seat? Because by putting Neil Gorsuch in place, they are hoping he rules in favor of political gerrymandering. You need to understand what is going on here. Republicans want to game the system. I am not making a Democratic argument. Listen to me carefully. I am not making a Democratic argument. I am not making a Republican argument. I'm not making a liberal argument or a progressive argument. I am making a right versus wrong argument. And if you stand in the way of people voting, you are an enemy. Listen to me clearly. You are an enemy to me. When Democrats in 2000 tried to keep military ballots from being counted in Gore versus Bush, I ripped them. Every vote should count. We saw that in Virginia, where it's virtually a tied race, and a judge will decide the fate of the General Assembly by a coin flip. That means somebody in that district who stayed at home could have decided that race. You saw it in Keisha Lance Bottoms in Atlanta, won by less than 800 votes. I'm trying to get us to understand. And I'm going to end it this way. I need y'all to understand. Our vote is so powerful. And if our vote wasn't powerful, why would they be working so hard to keep us from voting? Think about that. If our vote wasn't powerful, they would not be working overtime to keep us from voting. So, it's Christmas Eve. Y'all enjoy your family, your food. But I'm telling you, have fun, rest up, because in 2018, we've got a fight on our hands, and it's our job. It's our job to swing as hard as we can. I'm telling you right now, they are trying to come after us, and we need to swing back hard. And the best way to beat them is at the ballot box. Every single election. City council, mayoral, water district, school board, state rep, state senate, county commission, I don't care what it is, community college board. Every election, we literally could decide the outcome in many of these southern states if we realized our own power. All right, y'all, I got to go. Deuces.